G'day guys, Ziggy D here, and today I want to give you guys a look at the Enchanting and Transmorgification systems in Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls in the beta currently. Things might change, but it looks like this is pretty set in stone, and the system feels pretty complete and pretty solid. Straight up, I'm going to say that I really like this new Enchanting system especially. Transmog is good to have in the game, but the Enchanting system adds so much to Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls, and I think if they're really trying to push this idea of self-found for everyone goes self-found, and they're trying to take away a lot of the trading and things like that, then this is the best possible thing they can add to the game to support that. Basically, this is a very powerful system that allows you to firstly customize your gear to your build, so there's a lot more depth that you can have to your gear and the way you customize it. It allows you to better adjust gear to make it better, just make it more powerful, and it allows gear that drops to actually have more potential to be good. So more of the gear that drops actually has potential with this system in the game, because you might get something that has, it's almost good, but one of the stats is wrong, and it's essentially vendor food, it's useless. But with this new enchanting system, you can maybe throw that in, and maybe you can enchant the stat you need to make that gear useful, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. So let's start off with the basics. The basics are you put an item in the enchanting system here, and you get a list of all of the affixes on that item. You can then click on each one of these question mark ears to display the possible replacement properties. So as you can see here, this damage roll could become dexterity, could become attack speed, life, armor, crit chance, and so on. Now this is grouped loosely into two categories. As you can see over here, we have primary and secondary. And as a little side note, you can actually see the stat ranges that this could have possibly rolled in there as well. But we can also see that over here. So primary stats can only roll from primary stats, and secondary stats can only roll from secondary stats. There's some other sort of grouping that goes on in this, but this might take a bit more exploration to sort of figure out what that grouping exactly is. Like, yes, as we click through some of these different ones here, you'll notice that they change quite a bit. So vitality there could roll into some different stuff. These are mostly main stats. Some different gear shows up different types of stats. But as you can see, essentially we have damage, which is considered a main stat, and then life after each kill is considered a secondary stat and could roll into secondary stats like gold fine and things like that. Firstly, this grouping of stats into primary and secondary means things like gold fine's never going to overtake your crit chance or anything like that on an item now. So it's pretty nice to be able to get these primary and secondary stats separately and not have the gear become worthless because it's rolled thorns or something like that. Usually you're going to get good gear that rolls thorns rather than gear that rolled thorns, and unfortunately it's useless now. But let's take we'll save this ring for later, because I'm actually going to re-roll this ring for you guys to show how you can actually use this to make an item that has potential but is not good into a good item. Hopefully I'll be able to use this after we roll it a bit. So the basics of actually enchanting these items is that you need crafting materials. So we've got the arcane dust and veiled crystals here. These come from salvaging rares, and these come from salvaging magic items. Now you also, if you're going to enchant any sort of legendary item, so you're going to change the affix on a legendary item, then you also need forgotten souls, which come from salvaging level 60 plus legendary items. So this, as a little bit of a side note, actually makes finding crappy legendaries, well, finding legendaries that you'll probably never use actually pretty exciting, because the Forgotten Souls are pretty rare, reasonably rare, but they're much more useful than demonic essences were in Diablo 3 vanilla, because of the fact that you can use those, you can feed those into your good legendaries to try and either perfect your stats or change your stats or fix it or adjust it to your build. Like for example, when I finally found a legendary I didn't need, because I was finding legendaries I could actually wear for a while there, I finally found one I didn't need. I was able to roll my Witching Hour and put All Resist on it. Now my Witching Hour is only, my level 60 item from vanilla, but still very good because it has attack speed, life and crit hit damage on it, things like that. But I kind of wanted to make it a little bit better, so I changed something, I think it had intelligence on it, into All Resist. How good is that? I went from like 10 effective All Resist from having some intelligence on there to 80 actual All Resist. So that was pretty exciting. You get to upgrade your gear like that. That's just a bit of an example. Another example here is my amulet I had before. This was a very nice amulet this is one of my account bound crafts from Diablo 3 vanilla, and it had damage on it. It had dex, vitality, crit hit damage, and crit hit chance. I was able to turn this into a trifecta amulet pretty easily. I just simply rolled one of the main stats that was on there. Again, I think it was something like intelligence, or it might have even been life gain on hit or something, and I was able to roll that into attack speed. So let's talk about the two different types of enchanting that happens. The first is when you have a brand new item, so something you've found or something you've brought over from Diablo 3 vanilla. So for this ring example, I just found this on my very last farming run. You can see I have the option to replace every single stat on this item, and I can pick the one that I most want to change. Now, once I replace one of these stats, I can only then replace that same stat. And that's pretty important because you want to make the right decision first up. So for example, with these gloves here, I rolled crit hit damage from one of the stats I didn't need. Now if I had, say, selected vitality, maybe I wanted to improve the amount of vitality I got, which is something you could do, then I wouldn't then later be able to add crit hit damage to this pair of gloves. So you want to choose that carefully. Because as you can see now, all of these items that I've rolled on this, I haven't rolled this one, I haven't rolled this one yet, I've rolled this one, I can only then re-roll that same stat. Now this is fine if you put something in there that you want to kind of change around. So say physical resist here, maybe I find that, let's actually go back to this one. I've rolled fire resist. Maybe later on I'll find a legendary ring that lets me absorb and heal from fire damage. I'll probably then want to re-roll this fire resist into something like physical or arcane resist instead, so I can then better heal from that fire resist, because I don't want fire resistance if fire is healing me. So this is sort of an example of why you might want to re-roll these things. Or maybe just later you might want to come back to this, say this rolled 45 crit hit damage. Maybe I have a bit of extra gold and want to perfect my gear a bit better. I could roll this a couple times and try and get crit hit damage. Now I actually can show this, I'm just going to waste 60k to show something else here. Every time you roll, you get 2 extra stats and the same stat you already had. So the top stat here is the same stat we already had, so you're never going to go backwards. Now, as my other options, I have Crushing Blow or Regenerates Life, but they're not better than my crit hit damage, so I'm going to stick with my crit hit damage. Pretty good stuff, pretty good stuff. So let's actually roll 2 items, and if I think of anything else to talk about in this while doing this, I'll be able to do so. Now, the first one I think I wanted to do was, I think I wanted to re-roll one of my legendaries. Yes, I wanted to re-roll my Mempo. This has attack speed on it, life percent, and all resist. These are all still really good in Reaper of Souls, even at endgame, even though this helmet's pretty low level now. The fact that it has attack speed on it kind of makes it last pretty well. But I have a few options here. The dexterity rolls pretty low for Reaper of Souls. As you'll see, a lot of my other gear has like 500 dex on it. So one potential is I could try and re-roll this into a higher stat. I could try and roll dexterity, so a higher amount, or I could change it to vitality. Now the other option, however, is I could re-roll this intelligence vitality stat. It's also considered a main stat, even though it's much lower. I'm probably going to get more gain from re-rolling this. In fact, I can potentially even get crit hit chance with this. So I only have 1 legendary crafting mat, so let's take a little bit of a gamble on this and see if I get lucky. Enchanting an item will soulbind it to you. I'm glad I did this because that's an important note. Once you've enchanted something, even if it's a rare, rares will still be tradable in Reaper of Souls, although some legendaries won't be apparently. But rares, once you've enchanted them, will be soulbound to you then, so this kind of locks it to your account essentially. And then we are going to press OK. Let's see what we get. Oh, we got some vitality. That's okay. I'll go with the vitality for now. I do need a bit more survivability. I could take life on hit. That's pretty useful as well, but I think vitality is going to help me out a bit more. Let's see what my health goes to. Oh, 479. Nice stuff. So if I had some more legendary crafting mats, I could try and re-roll this a few times until I eventually got crit, and I might eventually do that, or maybe I'll find a helmet upgrade before then. We'll see. Now the next thing I wanted to do was I recently upgraded my boots, which broke my set combo for the Natalia's set. I had the boots as well before. So this ring's kind of useless. It's pretty crappy by Reaper of Souls standards, so I want to try and re-roll this new ring I found. Now I do have plenty of crafting mats for this one, so we should be able to do something good, but let's decide what we should actually re-roll. Life after each kill is a secondary stat, so from this I could roll gold, or life after each kill again. I could try and roll that a little bit higher. I could roll experience if I want to try and level my Paragon a little bit faster, or health globes and potions is actually pretty useful in Reaper of Souls, so I could do something like that. Life regen, however, is considered a main stat. It's a healing stat, and healing is considered very important. This sort of healing, at least, not life after kill. So I could try and re-roll this into crit. What else do I have? I believe duration of crowd control is a secondary stat. There's vitality. I think regen's probably going to be the one to re-roll. All resist is going to be really nice. So let's try and see. I would really like, I think crit chance would be nice for me. Bring me up over 50%. Let's see if we can do that. So if we go just double check here, we've got a crit chance range of 4.5 to 6. We could also roll attack speed or dex or something like that. Let's see what we go. We should be able to, so that soul binds it. We now rolled a socket and reduced cooldowns of all skills. So neither one of those, I'm just going to stick with my regen now. If I happen to run out of gold, and this is very expensive as you can see, then I can simply stick with my regen since it's not a bad stat. There's attack speed. That's probably a bit of an upgrade over that regen, so I'll go ahead and do that. Let's see what my damage jumps up to over here. Oh, I need to actually equip it. There we go. 739 over there, but man, I really like some crit on there. I feel like that would be a lot better for me. So let's try and blow some of my hard-earned cash here. There we go. We've got a 4.5 crit chance roll, and that is actually, let's see how good that is. That's 4.5. Oh man, it's the lowest end. Now we could potentially try and re-roll this some more, but I think I might stick with that for now. It's okay. I think it's a bit of an upgrade over my Natalia's reflection at least, so I'm pretty happy with that. So hopefully that gives you a pretty good taste of the enchanting system. If you guys have any questions about that, let me know. But let's take a look at the transmogrification system. A bit simpler here. You basically just select an item and you have an option to replace it with any other item you've found in Reaper of Souls. So although I've found many other legendaries in Diablo 3 Vanilla, these aren't available to me. So you're going to need to re-find those legendaries to be able to transmogrify to them. So I can get all my basic stuff like this. I could easily transmog my shoulders into any one of these. However, I like the Deathwatch mantles, they're pretty cool. Let's get those. Now the color of this, as a little side note here, is based on the color of the item you have. So this one should be dyed yellow, or it's, I can't see if it's, yeah, it's got Ranger's dye on it. Items drop with dye on them now, by the way. And so this is going to dye with Ranger, but we can go ahead and re-dye that black after, but we'll put the Deathwatch mantle on there. And as you can see, you have the option to change between all of these different things. I could change my chest to chainmail there, and all that sort of stuff. It's pretty basic stuff, and if you want to go ahead and dye that after that point, you can dye it. And you can see when something's been transmogrified based on here. All these PHs, by the way, are just placeholder art because they're not quite finished yet in the beta. But hopefully that covers it for you guys. I really like both of these additions. Transmog's pretty nice. It's nice to be able to have pretty sick looking characters now instead of our kind of clown suit dressed ones from Diablo 3 Vanilla. Something a lot of people wanted, that's for sure. And the new enchanting system I think is crucial for the new loot metagame of Diablo 3 Reaper of Souls and moving towards a much more self-found style of game. And this just makes it much more rewarding and much more deep. And I'm having a lot of fun with it, and it's going to be fun when I'm trying to plan out a little bit of a build soon, and I'll try and roll some build specific stats on here especially. Anyway, that's it for now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. I'm Ziggy D, and thanks for watching.